The smell of hot metal filled the small workshop. Han-Jun looked at the engine part in his hands. It was the last piece he needed to fix his old spaceship. Outside the window, stars shone bright against the black sky. Earth looked small and blue from the moon base where Han-Jun lived and worked. "What are you doing?" asked a voice. Han-Jun turned to see Kim Do standing in the doorway. The old man had been a space pilot for 40 years. Now he taught young humans how to fly. "I'm fixing my ship," Han-Jun said. "I'm going to enter the stellar labyrinth." Kim Do's eyes grew wide. "The labyrinth? Are you crazy? No one has ever finished that race." Han-Jun smiled. "Someone has to be first." The stellar labyrinth was famous across the galaxy. It was a race through a strange purple space cloud called a nebula. The path changed all the time. Strange energy made ships and computers stop working right. For 200 years, the best alien pilots had tried to finish the race. All of them failed. "Han-Jun, listen to me," Kim Do said. "The aliens who run this race come from places that had spaceships when humans were still living in caves. They are much more advanced than us. Their ships are better. Their computers are smarter. And they all failed. Maybe that's why they failed," Han-Jun said. He put down his tools and wiped his hands on a cloth. "They depend too much on their fancy computers." Kim Do shook his head. "This isn't about pride. The labyrinth is dangerous. Pilots have died in there." Han-Jun picked up a small screen and showed Kim Do some pictures. "I've been studying the labyrinth for months. Look at these patterns in the nebula. They remind me of something." Before Kim Do could answer, the door opened again. Han-Jun's sister walked in. Park Sun was shorter than her brother, but had the same dark eyes and serious face. She was a scientist who studied space energy. "I brought the part you asked for," she said, handing Han-Jun a small metal box. She looked at Kim Do. "Is he trying to talk you out of the race?" "He's trying," Han-Jun said with a smile. "It's not working." Park Sun put her hands on her hips. "Good, because I think you can win." Kim Do looked surprised. "You too? I thought you were the smart one in the family." "I am," Park Sun said. "That's why I know my brother has a chance. The aliens who enter the labyrinth are too dependent on their technology. When the nebula disrupts their systems, they don't know what to do. But humans still learn to fly manually," Han-Jun added. "We plan for equipment failure. We can adapt." The door opened a third time. A short, round-faced man hurried in. It was Choi Bei, Han-Jun's best friend and a computer expert. "I got it," Choi Bei said, holding up a small data chip. "The records of every labyrinth attempt for the last 50 years. "How did you get that?" Kim Do asked. "The Galactic Council keeps those secret." Choi Bei just smiled. "I have friends. Let's watch." He put the chip into a screen on the wall. They all watched as ship after ship tried to navigate the purple twists and turns of the labyrinth. Some ships turned back, others spun out of control. A few disappeared in bright flashes. "See?" Kim Do pointed. "Even the Vex with their super advanced AI failed." "Yes, but look how they fly," Han-Jun said. "They follow the same paths. They make the same mistakes." Park Sun nodded. "The nebula changes, but the aliens don't change their approach. They rely on computers that can't handle the energy fields," Choi Bei added. Kim Do looked at the three young people. He had known them since they were children. Han-Jun was always the one who took risks. Park Sun was the thinker. Choi Bei was loyal and clever. Together they made a good team. "You're all crazy," Kim Do said finally. "But if you're really doing this, you'll need help." Han-Jun smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that." The next day, Han-Jun stood in a large hall filled with aliens of all shapes and sizes. Most were much taller than him. Some had multiple arms or eyes. Others floated above the ground. All of them were there to register for the Stellar Labyrinth Challenge. At the registration desk sat Song Mi, a human woman who worked for the Galactic Council. Her eyes widened when she saw Han-Jun. "You're entering the labyrinth?" she asked. "Yes," Han-Jun said. Song Mi looked around nervously, then leaned closer. No human has ever made it past the first stage. I know, she stamped his entry form. Good luck. Many humans will be watching and hoping. As Han Jun turned to leave, he bumped into someone. Looking up, he saw a tall blue alien with 4 eyes and smooth skin. The alien looked down at Han Jun. What do we have here? The alien said in a deep voice. A human entering the labyrinth? How amusing. Han Jun recognized him. It was Bo-Ji, a famous pilot from a planet called Terra. Bo-Ji had won many space races, but like everyone else, had never completed the labyrinth. You must be confused, Bo-Ji continued. The maintenance staff area is down the hall. This is for pilots. Several aliens nearby laughed. Han Jun felt his face get hot, but he kept his voice calm. I am a pilot, he said. Bo-Ji looked at Han Jun's simple clothes, so different from the fancy uniforms the aliens wore. A pilot? In that old ship I saw you arrive in? That thing belongs in a museum. It flies, Han Jun said. That's all that matters. Flying is not enough for the labyrinth, little human, Bo-Ji said. The labyrinth requires advanced technology, brilliant minds, and centuries of space experience. Your species has none of these things. Han Jun looked straight into the alien's 4 eyes. We'll see. Bo-Ji laughed. Yes, we will see. We will see you fail like all the others. Humans should stick to simple tasks and leave real space exploration to advanced species. Han Jun wanted to argue, but he just nodded and walked away. Outside the hall, his sister Choi Bei and Kim Do were waiting. How did it go? Park Sun asked. I'm officially entered, Han Jun said. He looked back at the hall full of aliens. But they don't think much of human pilots. Good, Kim Do said. Being underestimated is an advantage. The race starts in 1 week, Han Jun said. We have a lot of work to do. As they walked back to the workshop, Han Jun looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there was the purple nebula that had defeated every pilot for 200 years. Soon he would fly into it. The aliens thought he had no chance. They thought humans were too backward, too primitive to succeed. Han Jun smiled. Maybe being backward wasn't such a bad thing. After all, the next 7 days were the busiest of Han Jun's life. His small workshop on Moon Base became the center of all activity. Park Sun brought her science equipment. Choi Bei set up 3 computer screens. Kim Do brought old flight manuals and tools. We need to understand what makes the labyrinth so hard, Han Jun said as they all sat around a table covered with papers and parts. Park Sun pointed to a 3D map of the purple nebula. The energy fields change all the time. They disrupt electronics and sensors. And the path itself changes, Choi Bei added. What was safe yesterday might be deadly today. Kim Do nodded. That's why no computer can predict a safe route. Han Jun picked up an old yellowed book. This might help. It's a navigation guide my grandfather used when he sailed Earth's oceans. The others looked confused. Oceans? Choi Bei asked. How can that help in space? The nebula reminds me of ocean currents, Han Jun explained. Always moving, never the same, but following certain patterns. Sailors learn to read these patterns without computers. They use their eyes and experience. Kim Do took the old book and flipped through it. Your grandfather was a wise man. But the aliens will laugh if they see you using paper books instead of AI. Let them laugh, Han Jun said. We'll see who finishes the race. On the 3rd day of preparation, a message arrived. It was from Han Jun's grandfather, Li Jin. He was 90 years old and lived in a small house by the sea on Earth. The message showed the old man's face, wrinkled but with bright eyes. Han Jun, I heard about your plan to enter the stellar labyrinth. Everyone says you're crazy. The old man smiled. But I think you're brave. I'm sending you something that might help. Later that day, a small package arrived. Inside was an old compass, the kind sailors used long ago. A compass won't work in space, Choi Bei said, looking at the strange old tool. It's not about the compass itself, Park Sun said, understanding. It's about the idea behind it. Han Jun held the compass carefully. Earth's sailors used simple tools to cross vast oceans with no technology. They read the stars, the winds, and the water. Maybe I can read the nebula the same way. On the fourth day, they worked on Han Jun's ship. It was an old model called Seagull, designed for short trips between Earth and the Moon. Not fancy, but strong and reliable. The aliens' ships are much faster, Kim Do warned as they checked the engines. Fast isn't always better in the labyrinth, Han Jun replied. From the videos we watched, many aliens crashed because they were going too fast to react to changes. They added extra shields to protect against the nebula's energy. They installed backup systems for all important parts. They even put in an old-style manual control stick that Han Jun could use if the main controls failed. This ship isn't pretty, Park Sun said when they finished, but it might just be perfect for the labyrinth. On the fifth day, they practiced. Kim Do set up a flight simulator that tried to copy the conditions in the nebula. Han Jun sat in it for 10 hours straight. Time after time, the simulator showed his ship crashing or getting lost, but each time Han Jun learned something new. By the end of the day, he was lasting longer than any previous attempt. You're getting better, Kim Do admitted, but the real nebula will be much harder. I know, Han Jun said, his eyes tired but determined. That's why I need to practice more. On the sixth day, news crews from all over the galaxy came to Moonbase. The Stellar Labyrinth Challenge was big news, and a human entering was even bigger news. A tall alien reporter with green skin asked Han Jun questions, while a floating camera recorded. Many experts say humans are too primitive to complete the labyrinth, the reporter said. What makes you think you can succeed where advanced species have failed? Han Jun thought for a moment. Sometimes simpler is better. Humans still know how to do things without computers. When technology fails, we can adapt. The reporter looked doubtful. But your ship is so basic. Basic doesn't mean bad, Han Jun replied. It means reliable. Later, they watched the news report on a screen. The alien reporter made Han Jun sound foolish. They showed his small ship next to the sleek, shiny ships of the alien competitors. Look at this primitive vessel, the reporter said, and compare it to Boji's latest model with AI navigation and quantum shielding. The camera showed Boji standing proudly next to a beautiful silver ship that looked like it was made of liquid metal. The human's attempt is admirable, Boji said to the camera with a smile that wasn't friendly. But the labyrinth is not for beginners. It requires advanced technology that humans simply don't have yet. Choi Bei turned off the screen. Don't listen to them, Han Jun. I'm not, Han Jun said. They're only making me more determined. On the final day before the race, Han Jun was checking his ship one last time when a strange alien approached. This one was very different from Boji. It was small and gray with large eyes that seemed full of wisdom. You are the human pilot, the alien said in a soft voice. Yes, Han Jun replied. I'm Han Jun. I am Go Min, an elder of the council, the alien said. I have watched the Labyrinth Challenge for 150 years. I have seen many brave pilots fail. Han Jun wasn't sure what to say. I'm sorry to hear that. Go Min looked at Han Jun's ship with interest. Your approach is unusual. Most competitors try to use more technology each year. You are using less. I believe the answer to the labyrinth isn't more technology, Han Jun explained. It's understanding the nebula itself. The old alien made a sound that might have been a laugh. Interesting. Very interesting. It looked at Han Jun with those large, wise eyes. Many on the council think humans are too young as a species to accomplish great things. They think you need thousands more years of development. And what do you think? Han Jun asked. I think, Go Min said slowly, that sometimes youth has advantages that age does not. Fresh eyes see things differently. The alien touched Han Jun's ship gently with a thin gray hand. Good luck, young human. I will be watching with great interest. After Go Min left, Kim Do came over. What did the elder want? I'm not sure, Han Jun said, but I think not all aliens are like Boji. Some of them might be hoping I succeed. That night Han Jun couldn't sleep. He stood by the window of his small room looking at the stars. Tomorrow he would fly into the stellar labyrinth. 200 years of attempts, and no one had ever completed it. Park Sun found him there. "You should rest," she said. "Tomorrow will be hard." "I know," Han Jun said. "But I keep thinking about what Grandfather said in his message. About sailors facing storms and unknown waters with nothing but simple tools and their wits." "And they succeeded," Park Sun reminded him. "Yes," Han Jun said. "And so will I." His sister smiled. "The aliens think we're backward. Let's show them what backward humans can do." The day of the challenge arrived. 50 ships lined up at the starting point just outside the Purple Nebula. Han Jun's small seagull looked tiny next to the gleaming alien vessels. Some were 3 times bigger. Others glowed with strange lights. All looked far more advanced than his simple ship. "Remember your training," Kim Do's voice said through the radio. "Don't try to race them. Just focus on surviving." "I will," Han Jun replied. He checked his controls one last time. Unlike the alien ships with their holographic displays and thought-controlled systems, Han Jun's ship had simple screens and manual switches. Many were old-style backups he had added himself. "All pilots prepare for start," a voice announced to all ships. "The Stellar Labyrinth Challenge will begin in 1 minute." Han Jun took a deep breath. Through his window, he could see the massive, purple nebula ahead. It swirled and twisted like a living thing. Beautiful but deadly. 30 seconds. He thought of his grandfather's compass and the sailors who crossed oceans with simple tools. 10 seconds. He gripped the control stick firmly. "Begin!" The alien ships shot forward, their advanced engines leaving trails of light. Han Jun moved more slowly, watching carefully as the others raced ahead. He knew from his research that speed was dangerous in the labyrinth. The first stage of the labyrinth was a maze of purple gas clouds. They looked solid, but weren't. The trick was finding the right path through them. The clouds contained particles that damaged ships' sensors. Han Jun watched as several alien ships immediately took wrong turns. Their computers were already getting bad readings. 2 ships crashed into hidden debris and had to turn back with damage. "Steady," Han Jun said to himself. He didn't rely completely on sensors. Instead, he watched the movement of the gas clouds. They flowed in patterns, just like ocean currents. Where they met and swirled, there was usually a safe path. "You're doing well," Park Sun's voice came through the radio. 10 ships already out, 40 still racing. Han Jun carefully navigated through the maze. He saw Boji's silver ship ahead, moving fast and confident. 3 other alien ships followed close behind. Suddenly, a wave of energy rushed through the nebula. Han Jun felt his ship shake. Warning lights flashed as some systems failed. "Energy surge," Choi Bei warned through the radio. "Your main computer is offline." Switching to manual, Han Jun said calmly. He flipped several switches, bypassing the computer and taking full manual control. Ahead, he saw several alien ships spinning out of control. Their advanced systems were confused by the energy surge. 2 more crashed into each other and had to withdraw. Boji's ship slowed down but kept going. The alien pilot was good, even with damaged systems. "Stage 1 complete." The announcement came after Han Jun passed through the last of the gas clouds. 30 ships remaining. "You made it through the first stage." Park Sun's voice was excited. "How many humans have ever gotten this far?" Han Jun asked. "None," Kim Do replied. "You're the first." Han Jun allowed himself a small smile. But he knew the challenge would only get harder. Stage 2 was called the Graveyard. It was filled with the wreckage of ships that had failed the challenge over 200 years. The debris floated everywhere, some pieces as small as a finger, others as large as a house. 29 ships entering Stage 2, the announcer said. 1 more had dropped out. The alien ships moved carefully now. Their computers were mapping safe paths through the wreckage. Han Jun didn't have that luxury. His main computer was still offline. Instead, he watched how the small pieces of debris moved. They flowed around the larger pieces in patterns. By following these patterns, he could find safe paths. "This is amazing," Choi Bei said through the radio. "You're using the debris flow like a river." "Just like grandfather's sailing books described," Han Jun replied. "Look for the current, not just what you can see on the surface." As he navigated deeper into the graveyard, he saw something odd. Some of the debris wasn't random. It formed a kind of line, like a path. "I think previous pilots found partial routes," he told his team. "I'm going to follow where they went." "Be careful," Kim Do warned. "They all failed, remember?" "Yes, but they got this far for a reason," Han Jun said. He followed the trail of old ships, careful not to get too close to the wreckage. Suddenly his ship shuddered. Something had hit his right engine. "What was that?" Park Sun asked worriedly. Han Jun checked his systems. "Something small, minimal damage. But it wasn't an accident." He looked out his side window. Boji's silver ship was nearby. A small gun had extended from its side. "He shot at you," Choi Bei said angrily. "That's against the rules." "We can't prove it," Han Jun said. "And the rules are very limited in the labyrinth." He changed course, putting more distance between himself and Boji's ship. The alien was getting desperate if he was trying to sabotage other competitors. More ships struggled with the dense debris field. 3 more announced they were withdrawing due to damage. Another 2 simply disappeared, their signals lost. "Stage 2 complete," came the announcement as Han Jun emerged from the graveyard. 22 ships remaining. "How's your ship?" Kim Do asked. "Right engine at 80%, Han Jun reported. "Everything else working. Main computer still offline, but I'm doing fine without it." "The aliens are shocked," Park Sun said. "The news feeds are going crazy. A human has completed 2 stages." "How many stages are left?" Han Jun asked. 3 more, Choi Bei replied. "And they get much harder from here." Stage 3 was called the Shifting Maze. Here the nebula itself seemed alive. Walls of energy appeared and disappeared randomly. Paths opened and closed without warning. "This is where most of the remaining ships will fail," Kim Do warned. "You can't predict the changes." Han Jun studied the shifting walls carefully. At first they seemed completely random, but as he watched longer, he noticed something. "There's a pattern," he said. It's like the tides." "Tides?" Choi Bei asked. "In space?" "Not real tides," Han Jun explained. "But the energy flows like tides. It retreats, then comes back stronger. If I time it right." He waited, watching the flow of energy. When he felt the moment was right, he pushed his ship forward through a gap in the walls. The gap closed behind him just seconds later. "How did you know?" Park Sun asked, amazed. "Grandfather once told me that sailors could feel the sea. They knew when a storm was coming before any instruments could detect it." Han Jun smiled. "I think I'm starting to feel the nebula." Boji and 3 other alien pilots were also making progress through the maze. Their ships had powerful shields that could push through some of the energy walls, but this drained their power quickly. Han Jun's approach was different. He didn't fight the nebula. He moved with it, using its patterns to guide him. By the end of Stage 3, only 8 ships remained. 4 had been destroyed by energy surges. 10 had turned back with heavy damage. "Stage 3 complete," the announcement said. 8 ships proceeding to Stage 4. The news was spreading across the galaxy. A human pilot had survived 3 stages of the stellar labyrinth. It had never happened before. In the control room on Moon Base, Kim Do looked at the screens with wonder. "He might actually do it," he said softly. Park Sun nodded. "And he's not just surviving. He's thriving." On the screens they could see Han Jun's ship moving smoothly through the purple clouds of the nebula, like a small bird riding the winds of a storm. Behind him, the alien ship struggled, fighting against forces they couldn't control with technology that was failing them. "Stage 4 approaching," Choi Bei announced. "The quantum cascade." They all fell silent. The quantum cascade was where reality itself became unstable. No one had ever passed through it successfully. Han Jun took a deep breath as he approached. "The strangest part of the nebula yet." Here the purple clouds swirled around a center of absolute darkness. "I'm going in," he said. The quantum cascade was unlike anything Han Jun had ever seen. As he flew deeper into it, colors changed in ways that hurt his eyes. Sometimes his ship seemed to be in two places at once. The rules of normal space didn't work here. "Warning, reality distortion detected," his ship's computer announced before going completely silent. "I've lost contact with your main systems," Choi Bei said through the radio. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Han Jun replied. "But nothing works right here. My screens show impossible readings." Behind him, the 7 alien ships also entered the quantum cascade. Their advanced computers tried to make sense of the chaos. Han Jun could see them slowing down, confused by what their sensors told them. "This is why computers fail here," Park Sun explained. "They can't handle reality changing its rules." Han Jun looked around carefully. The quantum cascade seemed to fold space itself. Paths appeared that led nowhere. Others seemed to loop back on themselves. "I need to turn off more systems," he decided. "They're giving me wrong information." One by one, Han Jun shut down his ship's electronic systems. Soon he was flying almost completely manually, with only basic life support and the radio still working. "What are you doing?" Kim Do asked, worried. "You're making yourself blind." "No," Han Jun said. "I'm removing distractions. In the quantum cascade, my eyes and instincts are more reliable than any computer." Through his window, Han Jun studied the patterns of light and darkness. They seemed random at first, but as he watched, he began to see a flow to them. It was like looking at a river of reality with currents and eddies. "I think I see a way through," he told his team. "It's not a straight path, it's more like jumping from stone to stone across a stream." He guided his ship carefully, following what he felt more than what he saw. Behind him, the alien ships were trying different approaches. Their powerful computers made thousands of calculations per second, trying to predict the safe route. 2 alien ships suddenly disappeared completely. "What happened to them?" Han Jun asked. "Unknown," Park Sun replied. "They're just gone." Another alien ship began to spin wildly, then turned back, leaving the race. Now only 5 ships remained: Han Jun's, Boji's, and 3 others. Suddenly, Han Jun's ship shook violently. A loud bang came from the engine room, and red warning lights flashed everywhere. "Engine failure," he reported. "Something broke." "Can you fix it?" Choi Bei asked. Han Jun unbuckled himself from his seat. "I'll try." Floating back to the engine, room was hard. The quantum cascade made gravity work strangely. Sometimes he felt heavier, sometimes lighter. The air itself seemed thick, then thin. In the engine room, Han Jun found the problem. A metal pipe had broken, leaking coolant. Without coolant, the engine would overheat and shut down. "I need to replace the pipe," he told his team as he looked for tools. "There's no time," Kim Do said. "The other ships are moving ahead." Han Jun found his toolkit and looked at the broken pipe. "Then I'll make time." Working in the strange conditions of the quantum cascade was incredibly hard. His tools sometimes passed through the pipe as if it wasn't solid. Other times they wouldn't move at all, as if frozen in time. "This is impossible," he muttered to himself. Then he remembered his grandfather's words. "When the sea fights you, don't fight back. Work with it, not against it." Han Jun started watching the rhythm of the strange effects. He noticed that they came in waves. There were moments when reality seemed more normal. He waited for those moments to make his repairs. "How's it going?" Park Sun asked after 10 minutes. "Almost done," Han Jun replied, tightening the last bolt. "There." He hurried back to the pilot's seat. Through his window he could see that Boji and 1 other alien ship were still ahead. The other 2 had vanished. "Only 3 ships left in the race," Choi Bei informed him. "You, Boji, and Rensa from the Vex system." "How far to the end of the quantum cascade?" Han Jun asked. "About 20 minutes at your current speed," Park Sun said. "But be careful. The effects get stronger near the end." Han Jun nodded and focused on flying. The patterns were getting harder to read. Reality seemed to bend and twist in impossible ways. Ahead, he could see Boji's ship moving erratically, as if the alien was losing control. Suddenly, Han Jun's Radio crackled with a new voice. Human pilot, Boji said, his voice distorted. How are you still flying? All my systems are failing. I turned most of mine off, Hanjun replied honestly. There was a pause. You're flying manually? Through the quantum cascade? That's suicide. It's working so far, Hanjun said. Another voice cut in. It was Ren Sa, the Vex pilot. My quantum computer is giving contradictory instructions. It can't process the reality fluctuations. As Hanjun watched, Ren Sa's ship began to break apart. Pieces of it seemed to exist in multiple places at once. Then it vanished completely. Ren Sa is gone, Hanjun reported to his team. That leaves just you and Boji, Kimdo said. No one has ever gotten this far. Ahead, Boji's ship was now moving very slowly. Hanjun could see the alien pilot was being extra cautious, afraid of what had happened to Ren Sa. Hanjun kept following the patterns he felt. His grandfather had once told him about sailors who could navigate by feeling the flow of the ocean beneath their ships. Now Hanjun was doing the same with the strange currents of the quantum cascade. Then everything went wrong at once. Hanjun's ship hit a patch where reality seemed to fold in on itself. Alarms blared. The control stick stopped responding. The ship began to spin. Hanjun! What's happening? Park Sun's voice was full of fear. Reality pocket, Hanjun shouted, as he fought with the controls. The ship isn't responding. Through the spinning window, he saw Boji's ship get caught in the same effect. The alien vessel's lights flickered wildly. Then it simply broke apart, pieces scattering across the cascade. Boji's ship is destroyed, Choi Bei reported. You're the only one left. Hanjun was thrown against his seat as the ship continued to spin. Nothing he did made any difference. The controls might as well have been disconnected. In desperation, he reached into his pocket and pulled out his grandfather's compass. Of course, it didn't work here, but holding it reminded him of his grandfather's words. When the storm takes control, sometimes you must surrender to ride it out. Hanjun stopped fighting the spin. Instead, he watched how his ship was moving. There was a pattern to it. The reality pocket wasn't random, it was a kind of whirlpool in space. I need to stop fighting it, he said to himself. He let go of the controls completely. For a moment, the ship spun even faster. Then, slowly, it began to follow the natural flow of the distortion. Like a leaf in a whirlpool, it spiraled toward the center. What are you doing? Kim Do asked. You've stopped trying to control the ship. I'm working with the cascade, not against it, Hanjun explained. It's like riding a wave instead of fighting it. His ship passed through the center of the reality pocket and suddenly shot forward, now moving faster than before. The spin stopped. The controls responded again, and ahead Hanjun could see clear space, the end of the quantum cascade. I can see the exit, he told his team excitedly. You're going to make it, Park Sun said, her voice filled with wonder. You're going to be the first to complete stage 4. Hanjun gripped the controls firmly and guided his ship toward the exit. The final stage of the stellar labyrinth waited beyond. Hanjun exited the quantum cascade and entered the final stage of the stellar labyrinth. His small ship had taken damage. The right engine was working at half power. Most of the computer systems were offline, but he was still flying. You made it through the quantum cascade. Park Sun's voice was filled with joy. No one has ever done that before. Am I the only one left? Hanjun asked, looking at his radar. It showed no other ships nearby. Yes, Kim Do confirmed. All other competitors have either turned back or been lost. You're the only one left in the challenge. Hanjun allowed himself a small smile. But he knew the race wasn't over yet. What's this final stage called? The heart, Choi Bei replied. It's the center of the nebula. No one knows what's there because no one has ever reached it. Hanjun looked ahead. The purple clouds of the nebula were darker here, almost black. They swirled around a bright point of light in the distance. That's the finish line, Park Sun explained. You just need to reach that light. It seems simple. Enough. But Hanjun knew better. Nothing in the stellar labyrinth was simple. As he flew toward the light, the ship began to shake. The nebula was dense here. Energy waves hit the ship from all sides. Warning, hull integrity at 60%. The emergency system announced. Can you make it? Kim Do asked, worried. I have to try, Hanjun replied. He adjusted his course, trying to find a smoother path. The shaking got worse. Parts of the ship's panels began to come loose. A small fire started in the back of the cabin, but the automatic system put it out. Hull integrity at 40%, the system warned. Hanjun looked out the window. The light was getting closer, but too slowly. At this rate, his ship would break apart before he reached it. Then he noticed something strange. The energy waves weren't hitting his ship randomly. They had a pattern. They came in sets of 3, followed by a short calm period. I need to use the waves, he said suddenly. What do you mean? Park Sun asked. The energy waves. They're like ocean waves. If I time it right, I can ride them instead of fighting them. Hanjun waited for the next set of waves to hit his ship. 1, 2, 3. Then during the calm period, he fired his engines at full power. The ship surged forward. He repeated this again and again. Wait for the waves, 1, 2, 3. Then full power during the calm. It was working. The ship moved faster toward the light, taking less damage. Hull integrity holding at 35%, the system reported. You're getting closer, Choi Bei said excitedly. Only 5 kilometers to the finish. Hanjun kept his focus. Wait for the waves. 1, 2, 3. Then full power. 4 kilometers. 3 kilometers. 2 kilometers. The light was very bright now. Hanjun had to squint to see. 1 kilometer. Almost there, Park Sun shouted. Suddenly, a final massive energy wave hit the ship. The control panel exploded in sparks. The lights went out. The ship began to spin. No, Hanjun shouted. He was so close. In the darkness, his hand found his grandfather's compass. He held it tight. Grandfather, he whispered. Help me find my way. Of course, the compass didn't work in space, but holding it gave Hanjun strength. He reached for the manual controls. Working by feel alone, he stabilized the ship. The emergency lights came on, casting a red glow over the cabin. Through the window, Hanjun could see the bright light just ahead. With the last bit of power in the engines, he pushed forward. The ship passed into the light. Everything went quiet. The shaking stopped. The ship floated peacefully. For a moment, Hanjun thought he had failed. Then he looked out the window and gasped. He was in a perfect sphere of calm at the very center of the nebula. Outside, the purple and black clouds swirled in a beautiful pattern. It was like being in the eye of a storm. I made it, he whispered. Then louder, I made it. Hanjun, are you there? Park Sun's voice came through the radio, filled with worry. I'm here. I made it to the center. I finished the labyrinth. There was a moment of silence. Then cheers erupted over the radio. His team was celebrating. In the background, he could hear more cheers. It sounded like the whole moon base was listening. You did it, Hanjun, Kim Do said, his voice thick with emotion. You completed the stellar labyrinth, the first in 200 years. The return journey was much easier. Once Hanjun left the center of the nebula, a Galactic Council rescue ship met him and towed his damaged vessel back to the starting point. When he stepped out of his ship, cameras flashed all around. Aliens of all kinds pressed forward to see the human who had done the impossible. The head of the Galactic Council, a tall alien with blue skin, placed a medal around Hanjun's neck. In 200 years of the Stellar Labyrinth Challenge, you are the first to complete it, the alien said formally. Your name will be remembered throughout the galaxy. Hanjun bowed his head in thanks. He looked around at the crowd. His team was there. Park Sun, Choi Bei, and Kim Do, all smiling with pride. To his surprise, he also saw Boji. The alien pilot had survived the destruction of his ship and been rescued. Boji stepped forward. I did not think a human could succeed where advanced species failed, Boji said. His tone was different now, respectful instead of mocking. I was wrong. Your primitive methods proved superior to our technology. Hani, June shook the alien's hand. Not primitive, just different. Sometimes the old ways still have value. Go Min, the elder alien who had wished him luck before the race, approached next. You have changed how the galaxy sees humans, Go Min said. Many thought your species needed thousands more years to achieve greatness. You proved them wrong. News of Han Jun's success spread quickly across the galaxy. Scientists studied how he had navigated the labyrinth without relying on advanced technology. The Galactic Council offered him a position on their exploration team, but Han Jun had other plans. 6 months later, Han Jun stood in a large room on Moonbase Harmony. Before him sat 20 students, 10 humans, and 10 aliens of various species. Welcome to the first day of training, he said. You're here because you want to learn a new way of space exploration, not just using advanced technology, but also using your instincts, your eyes, and your mind. He held up his grandfather's compass. This simple tool helped sailors cross Earth's oceans long before computers existed. It's a symbol of what we'll learn here, how to combine the best of technology with the wisdom of experience. The students listened eagerly. Among them was Boji, who had become one of Han Jun's strongest supporters. After class, Han Jun went to the window and looked up at the stars. The purple nebula of the stellar labyrinth was just visible as a small smudge of color. Park Sun joined him at the window. Grandfather would be proud, she said. Han Jun nodded. He always said that being called backward wasn't an insult if it meant remembering valuable old knowledge. And now the most advanced species in the galaxy are coming to learn from the backward humans, Park Sun said with a smile. Han Jun laughed. Maybe being backward isn't so bad after all. Outside the window, a new group of ships was preparing to leave Moonbase. They would attempt the Stellar Labyrinth challenge using Han Jun's methods, combining advanced technology with human intuition and skill. The galaxy was changing, and it all started because one backward human refused to believe that some challenges were impossible